Welcome to Set the Sails, a Tampa Bay Buccaneers podcast. Brought to you by Bucs Life Media and our official sponsor, the Jersey Wave. Streaming on FanStreamSports.com, airing on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. And now, your hosts, James Flash Ludeman, James Brit-Bug Wilson, and Ruth the Truth Cagias. We are going live in 3, 2, 1.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Set the Sails, the podcast. We are on episode 18, not 15, just so you know. And thank you so much for tuning in tonight. We are so glad that you are here with us as we are going to hang out with you for the next probably hour or so. I don't know what this is. Somebody's doing this, and I don't know what this is. So anyway, so we're going to bring on our panel here. He is one of the hosts and main host. I don't know how to ever introduce him. He's one of the hosts of Sports Caffeine, which you can see right here on the FanStream Sports Podcast Network. His show airs every Tuesday night, starting tomorrow night. And he is Evan Bushman joining us live. What's up, man?
What's up, buddy? This usually means cut it. So I don't know who's telling me.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm in the studio with someone else, and they're doing this, so I don't know what exactly is happening.
I don't know.
But El Bushman joining us, Sports Caffeine, moving to nights?
Yeah, going back to nights. People can't do the morning thing, so we'll go back to nights, which is fine. I can drink at night instead of the morning, so it's fine.
All right, we're going to bring on our next host. Is of course, he's been a staple on our show, and apparently he's gone, so we're going to skip him for a minute, and we're going to bring in one of the hosts of the newest podcast on the FanStream Sports Network, Beauty and the Cleats. Her name is Kaylee Tchaikovsky joining us. What's up, Kaylee?
Hello, hello. And you can drink in the morning, Evan. It's just not as socially acceptable. So.
You're right. as long as you have orange juice with the cocktail, right? Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
That is so true.
I'll remember that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you guys, of course, we're going to be joined by our other two hosts here in just a little bit, but we're going to get things rolling here on our end. We got some fun things to talk about today, and as always, we want to invite you to join us in the comments. Leave your comments, say hey, interact with us tonight, and always the other side of this too. And don't forget, tonight we are actually going to open up our phone line. We're going to open up the phone line tonight. So if you want to call in, the phone number is 727-300-5904. As a matter of fact, that number is scrolling down there at the bottom of the page. You can check that out, 727-300-5904. If you want to call in and talk some Bucks, if you want to talk some NFL, man, I bet your viewer is stoked. That's right. The one viewer that we have is stoked.
Thanks,
everybody.
Bob McAnob. You're
Bob
McAnob.
Bob McAnob.
What an unoriginal, terrible name. Good job, buddy.
You don't even have a picture, you scumbag. All right, anyway, so let's skip ahead on this one. And anyway, let's talk about some practice. So the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are getting going with practice this week. And obviously we're in pads now, so we're getting ready. We're getting closer to the season, coming right around the corner. And I wanted to bring something to you guys' attention that kind of happened yesterday at practice, and that was Ronald Jones, who is the running back, basically the running back, the starter for this team. And he had a tough day at the office yesterday. Had some drops. There were some on video from some of our media members as well. And so a lot of interesting things from Ronald Jones yesterday and some drops. Also, Keyshawn Vaughn had a few drops as well. So are you guys concerned at all about the drops, or is this kind of no big deal at this point because we're pretty early on? El Bushman, we'll start with you.
I wouldn't be too concerned about it, but he has a history of the drop season. We saw that last year too. And that was one of the main concerns with him being on the team and drafted and him dropping the ball was, and they flip-flop between him and Peyton Barber last year is because he dropped the ball a lot. And that's one of the reasons why they brought in Keyshawn Vaughn is because he can actually catch the ball. It's still too early. I wouldn't put any kind of panic button on it just yet, but if this continues, Tom Brady is going to be like, yeah, I'm going to move on to somebody else that can actually catch the passes I'm throwing. That's going to catch them. So he needs to get some tar on his hands. He needs to pray to Jesus. He needs to watch Little Giants and look what happened to that kid. I mean, he's got to do something to, catch the balls. And I know he's not really a passing back, but LaShawn McCoy is, and also Keyshawn Vaughn. So he might want to, fix that immediately, because that'll be problems for him during the year. And I'll give you a hot take right now. LaShawn McCoy will be the lead back by, middle of the season. So
okay, I just want to let you all know El Bushman is on his hot take tonight. So I'm gonna tell you, there's a lot.
And this is my first beer too. So I'm
I remember my first beer.
Yeah. Exactly.
Kaylee, concerned? Yes or no?
I wouldn't say I'm concerned. I'm going to agree. I don't think it's time to hit the panic button, but I do think that this is something, it's one of those kinks that usually gets worked out in preseason, right? That we don't have this year. So I think it's a little tough. Bruce Arians said this is our main guy in the backfield. Do I think that'll change? I think he's going to be looking over his shoulder, weeks 1, 2, and 3. I don't know that it'll necessarily change before the season kicks off, but I think we could see a midseason switch, but I think the whole team is kind of going to be slow to start, just with everything that is going on in Tampa, everything that's new, a new quarterback, a new system. And I do think that this is kind of dramatized by the fact that, Tom Brady is the one throwing the ball. I don't know that this would have been such a big story yesterday had it been Jameis Winston back there under center. So, I think we'll see. I think we're not going to hit the panic button, but I do think that we're going to see a lot more of these little holes here and there as we get closer to the season.
Yeah, I'm of the opinion that you practice the way you perform. And this may not be a popular opinion. I disagree with El Bushman's crazy take that LaShawn McCoy is going to be the every down back.
Shocker.
He wasn't brought in to be the every down back. He wasn't brought in to be the guy to carry the ball as much as Ronald Jones will.
I know that. I'm just saying, if the dropsies continue with these two guys, they're going to have to look to somebody else. So, get it out of your system now while you're in practice. Don't do it during the regular season, because Tom Brady don't play no shit.
No,
Thomas L. Brady don't play no shit, especially with his passing backs, because those are the guys he loves to throw to in the backfield. So
yeah, and listen, guys like Sony Michel and James White made a career off of being a pass catching back, and I completely understand that, completely agree with it. But I also I agree with your last statement of do it in practice, get it out of your system now. Look, these guys, and I think this is something maybe Kaylee I'll throw to you, that the Bucs, and along with every NFL team, I don't think it's just the Buccaneers on this. But I really believe that every NFL team is behind the 8 ball because of COVID. I don't think any NFL team is going to come out in week 1. And I know we're going to break down week 1 here in a little bit, but I don't think any NFL team is going to come out in week 1 and just be outstanding right out of the gate.
No, not at all. And I don't think that most teams are expecting to without a preseason. And I think everyone's expectations are kind of held back a little bit this year. But I do think that those teams that have a consistent system, that, their rosters didn't change much from last season, they just added some weapons, whether that be on offense or defense. I think those teams are really going to have a quick start. Now, do they finish the season off and, go strong in the playoffs? I don't know. But I do think, the first few weeks are going to be dominated by teams whose rosters stayed consistent from last year. And I think the teams that had a lot of picks, whether that be in the draft or free agency, I think those teams are going to, they're going to skip a few steps right at the beginning. So I don't think it's going to shock anyone. And I don't think that those first few weeks should be, no one should panic, whether that be, in Tampa Bay or elsewhere. But I do think that, that jumpstart for teams that don't have to deal with this much change could help them.
I disagree. I think coming out of the gate, there's a lot of expectations, high expectations for a couple of teams, and Bucs will be included because they've got Tom Brady, they got Gronk on the team. Expectations are you better come out the gate, not make any mistakes, and not go and 1 in the first couple of weeks, 0-2 in the first couple of games, because we're going to go all the way to the Super Bowl in Tampa. So coming out of the gate, yeah, there's going to be some missteps, but the expectations are especially for them coming into this year, is you better perform at the highest possible level with the talent that you have on the team now. So.
But see, I'm not one of those people, and I know Ruth, who's not here, she's going to be joining us here in a little bit, hopefully. To me, I don't see this as a Super Bowl winning team right now. I know that's kind of hard to say, but my expectations are not through the roof.
I agree with you too. I don't think they're going to go to the Super Bowl. Like if you know me and about being a Bucs fan is my expectations are always lower than almost dirt when it comes to expectations for the Bucs. And they've been so low for the past God knows how many years, especially with Jameis being the quarterback. They're still low with Tom Brady because, and I said this on a podcast I was on before our show, was this could blow up. And I've said this on this show too. This could blow up in the biggest proportions where, they could fall flat in their faces and then they look just stupid as hell with those expectations that are coming up. So there is that possibility.
That's true. And if you guys want to weigh in on this, make sure you give us a call. You can call us live. You can be on the show right now. Troy Hallman in the house. What's up, man? Watching on YouTube. We'll throw that up there real quick. 727-300-5904. If you want to call in, ask a question, talk some NFL with us, and join in on the show, we will definitely get you on there. But right now, I think we're going to add our other host, who's back from his technical difficulties, James Britbuck Wilson. What's up, man?
You know what? It's a little warm here in Canada at the moment. The Mooses are traveling extra slow with the data packages. We've got to give them a break because of the heat. We need to get more water stations out there. Water for Mooses. Save Canada's internet.
James, did you see that comment that Corey said? This has huge potential to be a nightmare.
I like that comment.
Are we talking about the phone line or are we talking about the team? Because
or are we talking about my technical difficulties? Because
no, listen.
It's okay, Corey. I am back.
There was actually an interesting, and James, I'll throw this to you because this is something that El Bushman and I talked about before the show got started today. There was a tweet that was sent out earlier this morning. Apparently, a Bucs outside linebacker, of course, they weren't named for obvious reasons.
You're fired.
Was working today and apparently pushed down Sir Thomas Brady when he was going back today. So I would assume he would be cut immediately. Would you agree with that?
No, it shows moxie. I like that. What is it John Gruden used to say? If you haven't got juice, you're faking it. That's juice.
Lord. So, Brett, before we move on to the next topic, I'll let you kind of jump in on this. We've been talking about Ronald Jones and his drops. Today in training camp, though, if you want to look at the positive side of this, today in training camp, no drops for Ronald Jones. So I think, as El Bushman mentioned, maybe this is just a one and done type of thing, possibly. But are you concerned at all about the drops from Ronald Jones this early, and even Keyshawn Vaughn, who had some drops yesterday as well?
Everyone had drops yesterday. One of the things that Arians was talking about in his press conference was the fact that there were a lot of drops from the running backs. I believe the exact quote he said was, they can all catch the ball. It's unacceptable. Shady McCoy back there, he is known as a pass-catching running back. We've seen Daria Gongboale do it. We've seen that Ronald can do it. So, yeah, there's really no excuse for passes to be dropped coming out the backfield. But you know what? They'll have bad days and they'll have good days. I'd rather them get the bad days now in practice and get that's out of the way with rather than actually dropping the ball when it matters. I notice as well, sorry, that we've got Dean Jensen with us. So, Dean, welcome to the show.
What's up, Dino?
It just reminds me, and you know what? If there is somebody pushing Brady around, I think Brady has ample protection in Big Red.
So let's and actually the Bucs signed a backup center today from Arizona too. So that's some interesting, adding some depth there on the offensive line. Here's a couple of comments that I want to pull up for you guys. Corey Hessler, what's up? Says this reminds me of the Vince Young / Mike Vick Eagles. Hopefully we can rewrite history. We have to keep our expectations tempered. I think El Bushman kind of mentioned that. Because here, if we could give a mission statement.
I disagree with the expectations on that. The expectations with Vince Young and Mike Vick weren't that high.
Yeah, I don't think they were as high as that. But no, here's
Vince Young was on the tail end. Vince Young was on the tail end of his career when he was over in Philly.
Well, here's what I'll say about the Bucs. If the Bucs had a mission statement, here's what it would be. The only thing that's for sure is nothing's for sure. That would be
Dad.
No, but seriously, that's the mission. Every year we have these crazy expectations that the Bucs are Kaylee brought up Jameis Winston earlier. How many years now have we had high expectations that Jameis Winston was going to take the next step? And it's been every year for the last 5 years. Now you get Tom Brady. Now you get Rob Gronkowski. Now you get all these weapons. And here we are with our expectations. Ruth the Truth, who's not here, has said on this show many times, Super Bowl or bust. And so many people are saying Super Bowl, Super Bowl, Super Bowl, playoffs. What happens if it doesn't happen?
And that's not even the real goal, is it? I mean, eventually, probably. But I think, why not just get better, right? Like, why not be a playoff contender for the first time since whenever? Like, I just don't see why fans are so quick to say Super Bowl or bust. I mean, just because it's Tom Brady, I just don't think that. I don't see that happening. And I think that's a really, I don't know, not a great mindset to head into the season with. Since
I'm laughing at comments. I'm laughing at comments. Britt Buck, what do you think about that?
I think that, you know what, if the Bucks have a mission statement, it should be, we booked it up.
We booked it up. Oh Lord,
we booked it up.
That's worse than me. You calling me out? That was
Right.
worse than me.
Okay, no, think about it. And you made this. Obviously, like Kaylee's like bringing it up here. You look at the past. You know, I'm going to be generous. 15 years of Buccaneer football. How many of those years has it been like, oh, you know what, we sorted this problem. Oh, great, the fans, we can't wait for it. And then it all goes wrong. And then, you know what, we fixed that problem.
Year? Isn't that every single year with the team?
Exactly. This big free agent comes in and it all goes wrong. This new coach comes in, it all goes wrong. We keep the team together so we have chemistry. It all goes wrong. It is. The mission statement for the past decade and a half of the Bucks is, we booked it up.
It all goes wrong. Because I remember when Lovie Smith came over as the coach, there was so much huge expectation.
Oh, God, yeah.
Lovie Smith, he's going to right the ship, and then it just...
Lovie Smith was the guy that wanted Jameis Winston so badly.
Like, the Bucks theme song should be the Curb Your Enthusiasm theme song. That's what the Bucks.
Listen, if we keep going in this route,
Cop?
if we keep going in this direction, I'm telling you right now, you know that and Kristen and I, who's on Sports Caffeine, we talk about this Cleveland tourism video. It's going to be the Tampa Bay tourism video for the Buccaneers.
Yeah.
It's literally going to get to that point. Dean Jensen comes in. Only one team and fan base goes home happy every year. I mean, that's true.
Why not us?
But and that's the thing.
Can I just? I just want to.
Why can't we have that?
You. I just want to stop.
You always want to stop me.
Yeah, just mid-rant. Kaylee, have you seen? I'm actually looking down in my screen as if I'm looking at it. Kaylee, listen to me. have you seen that Cleveland tourism video yet? This actually featured on a show like way back when Ruth first joined us.
I have not. I'm looking forward to watching it, though.
That's your homework. We gave homework to Ruth to watch it. That's your homework tonight, to watch that video. And I need we have a group chat. I need you to go in our group chat and give your immediate reaction to those videos. There's two of them. So make sure you watch both of them.
Send me the link.
Yeah.
I will. So, Buck, what you heard joining us here, he says it's not as fun if you temper your expectations.
Hell no.
I agree with that. Bushman, do you agree with that? Tempering your expectations.
I agree with that. That's why my expectations are so low to start the season. That's why if they disappoint me, I'm not, crying or hurting. So,
I'm like, outside of football, as you all know, I'm a Leaf fan, so I'm very, very used to tempering my expectations.
Apparently, the Lightning are too, tempering their expectations.
Yeah, they're gonna be gone. They're gonna be gone after this series.
I just said before we started, we're not going to talk hockey, and we're not doing it. Everybody,
you might have to mute me all show then.
Oh my!
So who left the bubble again, Evan? Evan.
Yeah, that's right. All right. Well, if you guys want to call in and talk about this, phone lines are. We just opened up the phone lines, guys. We've been backed up ever since we started, but they are open now. 727-300-5904, 727-300-5904. You guys can call in and talk. Let's move on to our next topic real quick. Again, if you guys want to call in and
we've
talk
got quite
about
the bloated show.
We do, yeah, quite the bloated show this evening. So moving on, we're going to talk about something that happened in the NFL this week. Maybe not so much Buccaneers related, but this did happen in the NFL. The NFL is dealing with false positives of COVID-19. testing that was done, pushbacks in practices. As a matter of fact, I heard this story today. It was the first I'd heard about it, and maybe you guys talked about it on Sports Caffeine, and I wasn't there. But Matthew Stafford and the whole situation going on with him.
Oh yeah, his wife was pissed.
His wife actually. So basically, if you don't know, Matthew Stafford was put on the COVID list, and ended up his test was a false positive, and his wife wrote this big long letter about how she was getting calls, about how she was going to the grocery store, and people were saying you're literally killing people. I mean, just this crazy amount of stuff going on over false positive. And I was just blown away by that. So I'm going to throw it to you guys. Kaylee, we'll start with you. Does the NFL have a serious problem here when it comes to COVID-19 testing at this point?
I think they have a serious procedural problem when it comes to every aspect of the 2020 season, to be honest with you. I think this is concerning not for right now where we are in preseason, but for where we're going to be on game day, because unless something's changed, the plan is to do these on-site game day tests. And without knowing how to eliminate this false positive problem, how many players are not going to be stepping out onto that field on a game day because of a false positive? So I think they have a problem. They have a lot of problems when it comes to COVID-19. And I think they just need to get it together. They need to figure out the testing a little better. They also need to figure out staff, because they do have 6 confirmed cases among other personnel outside of players. So I think, they're doing a good job keeping players, not getting COVID. But what are you going to do when game day staff, coaches, all of these other people that are interacting with players on a game day or on a practice day end up with COVID-19? So I think they're walking that line between an outbreak and playing a season, and I think they're towing it a little too close. So
James, I want to throw it to you, but before I do, I want to give you some of these numbers, because I know you're a numbers guy, and I know you have some, what if Santa had Twitch? We have a Twitch viewer apparently tonight. What if Santa Claus gets COVID?
Them crazy ass Twitch.
Them Twitch people, Anyway. All right, so let me give this to you. So this is what's going on with the NFL. A total of 77 tests in question from 11 teams. There's a New Jersey, then the one New Jersey lab all came back negative. There's a total of 5 labs nationwide that service all 32 NFL teams. Now, this is the interesting part I want you to talk about. From August 12th until August 20th, the NFL has conducted 58,397 COVID tests. There were 0 positive tests among players and 6 among other personnel.
So, first of all, I'm just going to address Twitch here.
We're not throwing shade at you. We welcome you. We want you to come watch.
No, hold on. What boys are we getting? They're Sims.
We like Twitch people. Relax, bro.
We do.
Really want to. Do you know what? If we can do one thing with this show, it's going to be to grow our Twitch viewership. And you know what?
That's true.
I do just want to briefly answer Laura's question there. With all that beard, does that classify as PPE? He wears gloves anyway. He's got that big beard. He's creeping around at night, so he shouldn't be around the kids. I mean, I'm sure I'm sure the elves have done the health and safety checks, okay? Christmas might be safe this year, all right?
Wow.
Regarding the COVID testing, this is the biggest problem there. And you say, yes, I am a numbers guy. I look into the numbers and see exactly what they mean. The big problem the numbers show there is 5 facilities testing all 32 teams. That's ridiculous. You are going to have different mix-ups, you're going to have different procedural errors, you're going to have missed information, crossed information, contaminated samples. It's straight away it sounds like a mess. But my bigger issue, I think, actually, is I don't think players should be named for being on the COVID list. I think they should just be added to the PUP list.
Sorry.
Call it my
Sorry,
pillow guy.
You know the My Pillow. Anyway, gosh, dude, Goro 187. You're the real MVP of this show.
Yeah.
Sorry, James. Go ahead.
Yeah. You know, this just reminds me though of like a program that I used to watch in the UK called Phone Jacker, and then it's like
I've heard of that
seriously,
show.
it's brilliant actually. If you haven't seen it, I'd recommend going on the internet for some good old fashioned British humor.
Well, James, COVID. So hold on, and there's one more thing I wanted to read to you too that I wanted to let you get your point in on. But here's the thing, Josh Allen.
To me.
I do. Josh Allen, who's the quarterback of the Buffalo Bills, and Kaylee kind of touched on this. He got a false positive and missed practice on Sunday because of it. So, and Allen is actually one of 6 Bills who got false positives. So, how much does this really like affect the team? I mean, if they're getting false positives.
To be fair,
you have to talk through Goro because this is hilarious.
Yeah,
but you've got to work through it, James.
I know it's just like ADHD. Goro, just give me 5 seconds, man. I have ADHD. I'm watching you, okay? I can't do it. I can't cope with the pressure. Yes, it is James Britbook Wilson. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on social media. I don't hide. I'm quite a friendly guy. The problem is with when you're looking at false positives, and as Kaylee sort of alluded to earlier on, how many of those players are going to be, and I thank you, Book, what you heard. This is what I was saying before. How many players are going to be missing because of a false positive test? But frankly, it's as Book what you heard says, I'm sure that's a HIPAA violation.
No, it definitely is a HIPAA violation.
100%.
It depends who is revealing the information and what waivers have been signed. So if the player tells the NFL, "Hey, I just tested positive for contract, and I signed COVID, and I signed a contract to say that you can tell everybody," then it's not a violation. He's said that you can do that. But I don't think it needs to be said at all because of the stigma that goes with it. I just think there should just be a PUP list and that says, you know what, we had 7 players test positive today. There's 9 guys on the PUP list. You just have a little guess and see who's injured and who's not.
COVID positive players
Yes, Dean.
not be publicly ever.
Agreed.
I agree,
No.
Dean.
Agreed.
Yep.
It should never be said.
Mm-mm.
All I'm oh my gosh, I can't. All right, but it's simple. I mean, to me, it's look. The NFL has a serious problem, and they're kind of flirting with, the MLB as far as, getting not having their ducks in a row, if you will, because it's literally one of those things where the NFL has this cool opportunity to come in here and to do things the right way. But now they're having this issue. So we'll let Al Bushman, who apparently is done with his very important phone call, which I know who was on that line.
You do? Who was on that
line?
line?
I know. It was JP. I know it was JP.
Yeah, I just confirmed everything for Saturday's fantasy football draft for FanStream Sports. So
yeah. Whoop, whoop. Have fun fighting for second, y'all. Al Bushman, is this a big problem? We'll throw it to you real quick. Is this a big problem with the NFL COVID testing?
Well, as Kaylee brought up, it's the whole procedures of doing these tests, and having false positive. That kind of makes me a little bit wary, especially when teams are going into the playoffs, teams going into the Super Bowl, because if all of a sudden a positive test pops up, and then they have to be sidelined for about a week or two, and then that turns out not to be, positive, then we've got another cheating scandal going on. Things could be tampered with. So, they've got to get something really locked in 100%. Where if somebody gets tested, that test has to be 100% false or 100% positive when it comes out, because we can't have these false positives come out, because you're ruining teams, you're ruining players' playing ability, you ruin just a bunch of things by tainting. I wouldn't say tainting, because that kind of brings in a whole bunch of conspiracy theories coming to that realm, but it just kind of really taints things when it comes to these false positives when they're coming up or not. So they have to get something really locked in. If they're going to do it, have the teams do their own tests and then send them away, or have something. I don't know. They've got to do something where it's not going to be just tainted and stuff like that. So
very true. All right. Well, sorry. Go ahead, James.
I just wanted to sort of like finish up there with like Al Bushman's point is, yeah, it is, and the problem comes that you can sort of now start like implying things there and saying, you know what if like 3 days before the Super Bowl, like they turn around and go, oh, Tom Brady has COVID, and then it turns out it was a false positive.
I mean, he's in an age bracket, so you know he could die from it.
That's right. Speak up, Kaylee. Challenge the status.
Yeah.
You've been challenged.
Woman power.
Listen, Kaylee
just
Kaylee
interrupt
stepped in.
me.
That's right. Just interrupt him. It's okay.
Yeah.
Do you have anything to add, Kaylee, for real, though? Do you have anything
No.
to add?
I agree. I think, I think it is interesting. I think no one should be outed, but I do agree. I'm sure that there is something they signed in that 120 paper packet about COVID that they, get to release all their information. So I think that's a problem on the NFL's part. And I do think that, how many asterisks are we going to have to put by playoff games if this continues? And it's going to be a problem. So, they haven't had things together since the beginning, and I'm not surprised they don't have it together now.
I mean, it's kind of been like that in other leagues too. I know baseball had a few false positives as well. So, the leagues really have to. I mean, by now they should have had something in place where false positives aren't going to show up.
For sure.
Yeah, and listen, and here I know we don't talk a whole lot about Major League Baseball on this show, but Sports Caffeine, which you can catch tomorrow night, we talk a lot about Major League Baseball on that show for obvious reasons because Major League Baseball has a stooge for a commissioner. But here's the thing: they had this false positive situation happen. They had it happen with Juan Soto, if you remember that, and that cost him games, which in turn cost him money. So I mean, it's literally one of those things where the NFL needs to now that they've done this and they're having these issues, they really need to get on board and get this done because it's going to turn into a really big problem if they don't. So anyway. All right, well, let's move on. And this is going to be a fun one, so make sure you guys are in the conversation about this in the comments. Or if you do want to call in, numbers down there, 727-300-5904. If you want to call in and talk. We are going to begin on our show breaking down week by week the schedule for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And we are obviously going to start doing that tonight with week one of the the Philly Talk podcast. Okay, what's up, friends? How are y'all? Record predictions. Well, we've talked a lot about records on this show. We asked.
Let's do it real quick for Philly Talk.
Okay, so why don't we do this? Why don't you leave your record predictions in the comments? Leave that there. What you guys think? Where will the Bucs finish? At the end of the season, at the end of the year, total record prediction
11-5.
So Al Bushman 11-5.
11-5.
Okay, Britt Buck.
Do I actually have a prediction at this stage? No, because I've done this twice.
Just give your record for
popping out.
And 11-5.
Thank you.
11-5.
11-5.
You know what? If the Bucs go less than that now, I'm blaming all of you guys.
Haley, record prediction.
9-7. I'm sorry, guys.
Ooh.
Sorry.
Can you give some reasoning behind that?
I just think the start of the season is going to be tough. I think they're going to win matchups that matter. I think they'll be part of the playoff conversation, but I don't think they're going to go far, and I don't think they're going to really clinch that spot near the end.
Wow.
I think their secondary is going to be below expectations, which is part of my week one prediction, but I'll save that.
Okay, so let's. I'll give mine. I've said the problem is I don't want to. What's up, Brian? Brian Jones joining us. Brian is actually a one of the Pirates at the games, Raymond James Stadium. So,
Yar, me hearties.
Yar. He actually moved to Texas now, but he's not there anymore. But last year he was there, and I think the year before that. So what's up, Brian? My record prediction. I'm kind of with Al Bushman. I don't want to go too high and be like, oh yeah, they're going to the Super Bowl. I'm not going to do that.
Because we've all drunk the Kool-Aid before.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid anymore.
I didn't drink that Kool-Aid. It's got too much sugar in it.
I think 9-7. I think 9-7 would have been the record had they kept Jameis, but I think getting Tom Brady kind of gives them 2 more wins. So I'm also going to go 11-5. I think that they're good enough to win 11 games. They have the talent offensively. He is coming back. Okay, sweet. Coming back as Pirate.
Kaylee, keep all that week 1 stuff when we're live at Rafferty's on Sunday morning. So keep all that inside.
Keep all that too. But are all of yous are Bucks fans? Well,
wow,
yes.
No, I like
most
tennis.
of us. Kaylee is a Jags fan, I think, right? Jaguars.
I like tennis. I don't like anything about football.
You're wearing a Bucks shirt. Oh my gosh! All right. Well,
Pete Sampras is my hero.
Let's John McEnroe.
Cool
Let's start breaking down the week 1 matchup. Obviously, it's going to be it's going to look a little different week 1 because obviously there will be no fans in attendance in New Orleans. So that'll be something to definitely keep an eye on in this matchup. The Bucks will travel to New Orleans at a Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Wait, is it Mercedes-Benz or is that the Atlanta Stadium?
It's the Mercedes-Benz.
Oh, it's the Superdome. It's the New Orleans Superdome. Whatever. The Superdome. So they're going to the Superdome to play the New Orleans Saints. A couple things about this matchup that are very interesting. Start with. And I'm getting to that page that I had notes written down on, of course.
Something very interesting.
Just read the dummy cards.
It's 2 old guys playing football. 2 old quarterbacks.
Yeah, who are they?
One's a vampire, and the other one looks like he is a cancer patient. The other photo that we saw of him the other day.
Dude, that photo was crazy.
Yes,
he does look like one of those Make-A-Wish.
I know what it is. It looks like cancel culture got to him, and he's
that's terrible.
2020.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Will get you in the bloodstream like COVID.
All right. While I'm trying to pull up the stupid page that I had earlier, I'm looking at my docs.
What are you pulling up? Notes?
Just
go on the top of the dome. Come on, bro.
I'm not that smart.
It's going to be strange for the fact that there's going to be no fans in there at all.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead and talk about that.
I'm going to start with you. What's your week 1 prediction for the Saints versus the Bucks?
No, I want to go more in depth than just prediction numbers.
Well, no, I'm saying you can go in depth. You don't have to do the prediction. What's your in-depth analysis of the Saints versus the Bucks week 1 in New Orleans?
Who?
Brit Buck. But it looks like his screen is frozen, so we can't go to him. So, Kaylee, I'll go to you. What's your week 1 prediction?
I'm going to take the Saints. I think they're going to come out on top of the division anyways. So I don't think that I don't really think that they're going to lose a divisional matchup all year. If I had to make a hot take, I'll go a hot take along with you today. Right. No, I think it's going to be an offensive battle. I think, you're really going to see receivers shine. I think this is where, that Bucks secondary is going to look really good, but they're just not going to be able to pull it out. Michael Thomas, Emmanuel Sanders are going to take that matchup, and I think the Saints have it.
Now I'm back.
Remember, this is coming from a Jags fan, everybody. This is coming from a Jags fan.
Remember how we talk about Bucs fans get their expectations up here, and then it's always down here? That's where I'm living right now. So,
Yeah. I mean, how much though can we trust the opinion of someone who thought it was a good idea to support the Jacksonville Jaguars? So
look, I was born the same year as the Jaguars, so it was meant to be.
And she's a UCF, and she went to UCF. So
which, by the way, somehow weaseled their way into the top 25 in the AP poll today. Somehow. Who did you guys pay to get in that top 25? That's what I want to know.
Oh my goodness!
All right.
Anyway, save that for another show.
So I found just some fun. I just wrote down some fun facts. That's what I was trying to find, just so that we don't just sound boring. And stuff like that. Not that you're boring, Kaylee. I was just saying fun facts to liven up the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
The first meeting of the Bucks and Saints was actually back 1977. The Buccaneers won 33-14. As a matter of fact, back then. Last year, of course, they played the Saints, dominated both of those games, but they did win. The Saints beat the Bucks 34-17 back in November. They've had 56 meetings all time. The Saints lead 36-20. Largest victories 41-0 back in 2012, and the Saints are on they're on a win streak of 2. I guess they've won 2 of the last meeting. So little fun facts there behind that. So in case you wanted to know, what most impressive.
Most impressive.
All right, Brit Buck, what you got? Week 1, New Orleans Saints, Buccaneers. Who you got? What you got? Tell us.
I think Kaylee does make a good point about it being an offensive game. No, I think she makes a good point about it being an offensive game. I just don't think. I think a lot of people are expecting that, and I think when we sort of compare previous games between like the Saints and the Bucks, it's either going to be an absolute barnstorming hellraiser or a complete snore fest. Those are the two games that like the Bucks seem to have excelled in producing over the last few years. I think it's going to fall into the Snorefest category. I think both teams actually match up quite well against each other. I think the receivers, we don't really need to worry about cornerbacks because all they're going to do is run slants. Michael Thomas, I'm looking at you. So, our outside linebacker depth is going to be important. But, I think both teams are going to match up well. I think it's going to be a low-scoring affair, like 21-17. And I'm just going to say Bucks because, I'm going to let my heart rule my head for week 1.
All right, Bushman, what you got?
I think it's going to be a shootout between both teams. And I say that because you've got Drew Brees, you've got Michael Thomas, Emmanuel Sanders, and then you got Tom Brady with Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Cameron Brate, OJ Howard, Rob Gronkowski. It's gonna be a nice back and forth shootout between the two teams, with the Bucks taking this one in New Orleans. You can shake your head all you want, man.
When safeties like
the Saints will not have fans to be there to back them up.
So my point is though with Michael Thomas is how like coaches say about the safety position it's a game of angles. Yeah, well,
listen, we'll be good against the run game, but when it comes to the passing game, no, not so much.
You need Pythagoras theorem because all they do is they run little slanty patterns, and
I will 3.14 you 6945 carry the 5 all day. Okay,
straight back in your
prime, I don't think our secondary can handle Michael Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders. That's why they're gonna be throwing it all day. They're not gonna run the ball against the Bucks run defense. There's no way. Kamara's gonna have a bad game, and forget about Latavius Murray. He's not gonna get anything at the goal line. It's gonna be airing it out all day long. It's gonna be a shootout.
So you're going to see my Pythagoras theorem with Newton's theory of.
Thank you, Philly Talk podcast. Thank you. My team is the Bucks, by the way, just to let you know. So, no, your Pythagorean theorem stinks. I will go with Newton's law of physics, where the ball will be thrown and it will be caught in people's hands.
Which law of motion are you applying? You weren't expecting this way, you found.
apparently, physics is happening right now in the show. Physics Where else are you going to hear a physics lesson?
Where's my Bunsen burner, for God's sakes?
That's chemistry.
It's right next to the Petri dish. All right.
Chemistry. No, that's biology.
Brit Bug. C's get degrees in college. Come on, bro.
Let me say this. I'm going to say this with the caveat of I have a hot take about this game. I think the Bucks lose this game.
That's not a hot take.
So we're split. We're split.
It is a hot take because here's the thing. I think there are a lot of Bucks fans who think that we have an advantage in this game due to the fans not being there, which I do think is a big part of it, but I don't think it's the whole reason for the Saints winning this game or the Bucks losing this game, if you want to be on that end of it. I agree with you. I think it will be a shootout. I also think that both teams are going to be really off the first probably half of this game. I don't think it's going to be as fluid as we're used to seeing from either quarterback.
How many picks?
I'll say Brady has one, but I don't see any more than one. Breeze, I'll kind of lean on both. I'll say one pick from both in the first half.
Okay,
they're going to be rusty, but they are good.
I don't think they're going to turn the ball over. And what I mean more by smoothness is, those easy plays that you'll see throughout the season, maybe some drops, just because they haven't had enough reps. I think I was one of those people before this year that was anti preseason. I didn't want anything to do with it. I think it holds up the game. I think it makes it just ridiculous, these games. 2 games to me was more than enough. You wanted 4 games. But now that I'm in COVID, I see the value of preseason. It's not just the
value of 4 games.
Well, I still think 4 games is too much. But I would argue
Okay.
still that, well, I think 4 games is too much, but I still argue that at the same time, this is more of an opportunity for teams to get more fluid with offenses, especially with quarterbacks that are rookies or players that are moving other teams. Like Tom Brady to us, Phillip Rivers to the Colts, Teddy Bridgewater to Carolina. I mean, there's a number of quarterbacks that are moving this year, and a number of rookie quarterbacks that are trying to either earn a spot, or a guy like Joe Burrow, who has a really good offense there in Cincinnati, but is not going to have that timing down immediately. And I think that's what we're seeing in practice with Ronald Jones. Is I don't think it's Ronald Jones's skill that's hurting him. I just think it's timing. There's a lot of timing things that you have to have with Tom Brady that they're not used to. They've had 5 years of the same person who timing is not exactly his forte. But at the same time, it's two completely different style quarterbacks. So I look for the Bucs to have a good game. I look for the Saints to have a good game, but I'm going to give the edge to the Saints because I think they have more chemistry, being that really the only new player they have is Emmanuel Sanders, and he's able to adjust anywhere. So I'll give the Saints the nod.
All right, so we're split on this.
Yeah, I mean, and I like James and me, we kind of agree that, like, the fact that it's not going to be the greatest game in the world because of obviously the whole COVID thing, the lack of preseason. I'm not buying into the whole, well, the Bucs have got a new quarterback and they've got a few new players, so they've not got the chemistry. I'm not going to buy into that. I mean, I could be dreadfully, dreadfully wrong. But for me, I think, Tom Brady, he's been doing this for too long. He's been playing this game before some of these players who have just been drafted and going to be drafted like next year even were around. So he knows what he's doing. He knows how to look after himself physically. He knows how to look after himself mentally, and he knows how to disseminate a playbook and to be able to communicate very, very quickly with a set of players around him. Let's remember, when he was in New England, he had players in and out all the time. It was literally next man up, the first random guy you'd see. Literally at one point, I think they were dragging receivers off the street, and Brady made them look like all pros, because that's the kind of player that Brady is. I think I'm not going to drink the whole Kool-Aid and say, like, now we've got Tom Brady, that's it, we're a lock for the Super Bowl. Tom Brady is a great quarterback, no doubt about it. But
well, if anybody says that, they're a dum-dum. If anybody says that we're a lock for the Super Bowl, they're stupid. They're a dum-dum. Yeah, and I know a lot of people are getting carried away with the whole, like, Tom Brady hype, and it's really exciting to have him and everything. Yay, Tom Brady. But I do think that he is going to make a lot more difference. And even, like, if you look at, like, the players when they're talking, in fact, the press conference today was very, very Tom Brady centric. Every question seemed to be about something to do with Tom Brady, and all the players around him absolutely love him. They love being around him. They love his professionalism. They love trying to catch the ball from him. Even Chris Godwin saying that, it's maybe exceeded his expectations of having a guy like Tom Brady throwing, like, passes to you. The cornerbacks and defensive backs have all said, they love watching, like, what he does, and even when they get beat, they can still admire, like, how good the throw was to beat him. In fact, I mean,
like the catch from Chris Godwin yesterday over Sean Murphy Bunting, that was amazing.
Do you know what? There's a catch. I'll find out how I can share it with you guys later. But I got from the Buccaneers the B-roll film from practice on Friday, and Mike Evans makes the most amazing catch. But it was the pass from Tom Brady. It was a perfect looping spiral.
That was the one in the corner, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was literally, it just, when you see the B-roll is taken from the sideline. So literally a dude standing with a camera watching this unfold. And you really, really see how accurate that pass is. The fact that Mike Evans, you realize, like, looking from the side, he's double covered. He has coverage top and bottom. And Brady still puts it in the place where Evans is going to be, and he catches it in stride.
I like Philly Talk podcast, man.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah.
We should have him on. We should have him on the show.
I'm
You know,
down.
I'm not gonna lie. It's the mysticism with Tom Brady is we're gonna be able to see this, in Tampa now. And I was at the bookstore today. Yes, I can read, and I went to the sports section of books to broaden my horizon about sports and all that stuff. And I was going through, and I saw the biggest book out of all the books in the sports section was TB12. It was a giant encyclopedia, like this big. It was the size of a baby, and it was like pushed out. So that's how big Tom Brady is now. His books are size of babies. So being able to see this
Brady's
in Tampa,
baby books.
Brady's baby book. No, his TB12 was just a bunch of like pictures of stretching. It's like, I don't want to look at this.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you guys this, because James, you brought up a really good point about practice, and I know we kind of talked about practice a little bit earlier, but kind of going off of what you were saying about the corners and things like that. Tom Brady, and maybe you guys will disagree with this, but you probably agree with me when I say this. Tom Brady makes the team around him better. Yeah. And I don't just mean offensively. I mean, when you play against a guy like Tom Brady, wow, there's a novel in there I have to read. Actually, hold on. Before I get that, the biggest match I've seen all off season is that Brady is washed up and doesn't have the arm anymore. He's not the old Brady. Bucs fans know all we really need is a quarterback to do their job, protect the ball. We have no idea how much that'll benefit the defense in the long run without dealing with on and off the field with 3 picks. We don't need 100% Brady. We just need a smart and accurate QB, and I believe the team will carry the rest this year.
That's a valid point, because now you have a game manager. You have a guy that's not going to be on and off the field within 2 minutes like Jameis was. And that's why our defense was so tired being out there. And that's why we lost most games, because we had a quarterback or / offense that couldn't manage the time well. Brady knows how to do that. So that's going to give the defense a huge leg up. Think about it. If we had Jameis all 5 years, if he had LASIK in his rookie year, if he was able to be a game manager throughout every single game, where the defense that we've seen when his first couple of years and then now, what could have been if they weren't on the field as much as they were because he couldn't manage the game. We have a guy now that knows how to manage a game. That's going to give that defense is going to be so fresh in more games now than they ever were before when Jameis was there.
Kaylee, jump in on this.
Yeah, for sure. And I think the defense is really only going to struggle. And this kind of goes into week 1. I think they're really only going to struggle against those high octane offenses that do kind of resemble the Bucs offense, right? Like the Saints, like you said, they're very evenly matched up. I think those are the situations where they will struggle, because it will be a shootout. They will be scoring quick, scoring big, and I think they'll be on and off the field, but they'll also be on the field longer. So I think those are the games where you're going to see them struggle a little bit more. I think when it comes to other teams that might not have as high caliber of an offense or rely mostly on their defense, I think our defenders are going to step up. Our secondary is going to shine, and the Bucs are going all the way. But I think when it comes to the Saints and other teams where they're more evenly matched, I just don't see a relatively young defense stepping up and staying in the game till the end.
Just wait till the Chiefs game.
Well, and that's what I was going to say. Well, I was going to bring up the Chiefs too, because listen, you're talking about one of the probably one of, if not the most prolific offense in the league right now. I mean, outside of maybe the Ravens.
Somebody cough on Patrick Mahomes.
Somebody give it to him. Let me ask you guys this about Tom Brady, and this is what I want to see in the comments too, Anthony or anybody at Philly Talk, if you're still here. Let me ask you guys this: what is the measure of success for Tom Brady this year? Because and the reason why I'm asking this is because of what you all have said. You're saying, well, if we have a quarterback who can manage the game and not keep the defense on the field, then that makes him successful. So if you want to give numbers, give numbers. What is your measure of success for Tom Brady this year? Britt Buck, we'll start with you. We'll go around the horn.
I think that you can't measure Brady's success without measuring the team as a whole. One of the big things, obviously, Anthony said there and Kaylee said, is the defense is going to benefit massively. So do we actually judge the defense as an indicator for how well Brady is doing? Let's remember, as you say, that the Bucs offense sometimes was on and off the field within minutes, not giving the defense any rest at all. And even when you actually go and have a look at the statistics, like the deep statistics, when you check out the average starting position for the Buccaneers opponents, it is less than what the other teams. It's not like a country mile, but it's less. And football is a game of inches, so you're not giving up those 3 yards to the other team. You're not wearing out your defense by them just constantly being on the field. And don't get me wrong, I mean, that's not always it wasn't always a bad reason that Winston was off the field. Sometimes the first thing he did was throw a 60-yard touchdown bomb and walk off the field. Like, you know what, guys, we've done our job. We scored. You need to go and get us the ball back. I think the Bucs are not going to have that explosive offense that we had seen with Jameis Winston. You bring up the Chiefs game, and do you know what I was about to say? Well, yeah, it'll be like the Rams game. And then I shut my ass up and I had a little think because I realized just how wrong that was. Any of you guys, and you know, in the comments as well, like, feel free to try and burn me on this, but I think I'm right. Do you see Brady scoring as many points for the Bucs as what we did against the Rams over Jameis Winston? Flip the quarterbacks, and do you think the result is the same?
Did you just ask another question inside of a question?
So we're doing an Inception kind of thing, a question within a question.
This is the question.
I think if you know, it's different results because of the different quarterbacks table. But there's two. So they're on the end of the spectrum. Jameis and Tom Brady are just two totally different quarterbacks. One's a gunslinger, which is Jameis, and then Tom Brady, who knows how to play football. So that's two different spectrums right there. So if you have, yeah, it's going to be, the outcomes would be so totally different. It's on a whole another like level when it comes to the outcomes of each game. No way. And to measure his level of success with the team, I would say deep playoff push, man, and have, you know, close to 5,000 yards. I think he's going to get over 4,000, maybe 4,500, maybe 30 touchdowns, and, you know, probably 15 interceptions. I think if you take this team to a deep playoff push, probably the NFC Championship, that's success to me. I mean, if you say if he doesn't go to the Super Bowl, it's a failure, I don't think that's a failure of all. You taking a team that was 7-9 last year, hasn't made the playoffs in God knows how long, and you take them to
playoff drought in sports.
Exactly. If you take them to a deep playoff push, even if you make it to the first round and still lose, that's a win-win on all sides, because you still have Tom Brady for next year. And you know how Tom Brady is. If he fails in the first year he's there, he's going to be coming back for more. He's going to have even a bigger chip on his shoulder than he was the year before that. I mean, that's one of the reasons why he came to the Bucs, is to get out of that shadow of Bill Belichick. He wants to prove that other people, like, I can win in another team. I can win with a team like Tampa Bay for all teams I can win with. So, you know, to measure his success, it's got, you know, playoffs. Give me playoffs. Give me 11-5. Give me 10-6. Give me playoffs.
Kaylee, go ahead.
I think it's consistency, right? Whatever that turns out to be and whatever that means. I think, like Britt Butt said, you're seeing Jameis Winston, you know, have 1-minute drives, and then the defense is on the field for 5 minutes. And I think that's tough. And I think when the bench doesn't know what to expect and there's no consistency and flow to the game, it's hard for the team to get that chemistry and get in that rhythm. So I think for Tom Brady, the success is being consistent. It's going on the field, knowing how he's going to execute, how the team's going to execute under him week in and week out, drive in, drive out. And, you know, as fans, knowing what's going to happen, being able to look at your team and saying, here's our strengths, here's our weaknesses, and here's how they're going to perform, and kind of having an idea of how the season's going to shake out and where they could improve. And I think that's something the Bucs have lacked so much. It's going into games not knowing, like, are we going to blow this team out of the water, or are we going to get shut out, right? So I think with Jameis, it was too inconsistent. It was too up and down. You're right. He could be really explosive. He could get off the field, you know, in no time, but you know, then you set your defense up for failure at the end of the day. So I think if Tom Brady can play consistent, game manage consistently, and the team can perform consistently throughout the season, then you're looking at playoffs pretty much regardless of how you perform, because that consistency is going to carry you there.
The Philly Talk podcast made a good point. They said with the added team, there's really not a way that they can't make the playoffs, I think. I'll say this from my end, and then we're going to wrap it up here. To me, I think playoffs are bust. I'm not going to say Super Bowl or bust. I think if you're measuring success for Tom Brady, the reason they brought him here to Tampa is to get to the next level. And the next level for this team right now is a playoff game. I don't even care about a playoff run. If they don't make the playoffs, it's a failure. I mean, that's just as simple as I can make it. I'm not expecting anything past. I would love to see us get a bye week. That to me, or a first round bye, be the 1 or 2 seed. I think it's manageable to do that. Now I will tell you this: the division winner, and I've said this before, the division winner is going to have to win 13 games. In the NFC South, I don't see any less than 13 games winning this division. With the talent that's in Tampa, the talent that's in New Orleans, the talent that's in Atlanta, and even Carolina, who's kind of that sneaky team everybody's kind of writing off. But anytime you still have Christian McCaffrey and Teddy Bridgewater, who's not a bad quarterback at all, I mean, they still have talent in Carolina. So this is the toughest division in football by far. And there really isn't a division, in my opinion, that can keep up with what the NFC South has going on. So I see BucsFans.com, NFC Championship or bust. I don't want to say they won't make the NFC Championship, but I'm tempering my expectation, because I think after so long of not making the playoffs, anything short of a playoff game is a bust to me. It really doesn't matter what Tom Brady does. I think Tom Brady, I'm kind of with you, Bushman. I think he's going to have a good year. He's got probably the best offense he's had in his career, outside of maybe that 2007 team with Randy Moss. And I still think that this one compares better to that team.
Oh, way better. Just think of all the weapons he has on this team compared to that 2007 team. I mean, you have a ton more. So
right. And listen, OJ Howard looked really good today. I don't know if you guys saw the video of that, but he looked real good. Chris Godwin's looking fantastic, looking like a number one. Mike Evans still having a great practice. He is the number one, but boy, I'm telling you, him, yeah, still looking like a number one as well. So
Scotty Miller, though.
Yeah. And listen, the defense is playing really well too. And that was the other point I was going to make quickly, is that when you have a guy like Tom Brady versus a guy like Jameis, and listen, Jameis Winston is I still think he's a talented quarterback. I'm not knocking him for not being talented. I'm not knocking that he can't be a good quarterback. I just don't see him leading a franchise. That's just me.
It sounds like you were knocking him just for a little bit.
Well, it is kind of. But anyway, so –
well, think about this too with him. I mean, Drew Brees could retire this year, and then Jameis takes over that team.
Potentially, but I still think it's Taysom Hill's team. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. But what I'm saying is, when you have a guy caliber of Jameis Winston running your practice, and you have a guy like Tom Brady running your practice, there's two completely different mindsets, two completely different ways that you'll play the game. And the team is going to get better because of that.
One wants crab legs, the other wants kale salad.
Oh my gosh! All right, let's go around real quick. Final thoughts, Bushman. We'll start with you. Final thoughts.
Final thoughts. Make sure to tune in to Sports Caffeine live at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Facebook Live. We are now on Twitch. We are now on LinkedIn. We are now on all these Facebook pages that we're on. So make sure you tune in tomorrow.
Hold on. Anthony says this is a good comment. Anthony, 13 years without playoffs. All we mostly care about is being excited and actually having a reason to look forward to the postseason final. That is a great comment.
I think Bucs fans are just ready to see actual good football being played with this team.
I agree. Kaylee, final thoughts from you.
Tune in Wednesday, 8 p.m. for Beauty and the Cleats with me and Ruth. It'll be our first show. So, yeah.
I'm excited. I'm so excited for you guys, man. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
And where can we find that? Give us a little bit. I know you guys started a Twitter, so give us that too.
Yeah, so it'll be Twitter. It's Beauty_Cleats. It'll be Beauty and the Cleats on Facebook. And then we are on Instagram, Beauty and the Cleats podcast, but it won't be streamed there. Fanstreamsports.com. And yeah.
All right. Britt Buck, final thoughts, sir.
I just can't believe that we're at episode 18 already.
You say that every episode. Every episode. You're like, I can't believe that we're here. Well, believe it, sir. We're here.
Can't believe we're on episode 158. Should have said that for you should have said that for episode 1. I can't believe we're at episode 1.
I think I might have. Go back and watch it. Prove that you're a real fan of the show.
Ooh, nailed it.
Sorry, I was busy on my own show.
All right, Brett Buck, final thought, real quick.
I'm just looking forward to seeing what practice does this week. Obviously, we're 3 weeks away from meaningful football being played, provided something doesn't go wrong. These next couple of weeks of practice are just so important. There's guys who are going to be sort of trying to cling into the roster. Cuts are going to be coming. There's going to be changes all over the roster. I can't wait. It's going to be an exciting week.
All right, guys. Final thought for me. Listen, I want to just say, be smart. That's all. That's just all I want to tell you. Be smart. Be smart about life.
And if you can't be smart, be lucky.
Well, just don't be lucky. Just be smart. Make good decisions. Wear your dumb mask. I know you hate it, but just wear your mask. Okay, that's all I'm saying. All right. Well, that's going to do it for us here, of course, for Britt Buck, L. Bushman, Kaylee, and Ruth, who was on a very important conference call this evening.
She's live right now.
So,
she's live right now.
Yeah,
she's
live right now elsewhere.
I know she's live elsewhere.
Right now.
I wasn't going to say that, but anyway.
On her ninth show. She's on right now.
Our ninth show. That's right. Anthony's last comment. Happy I found your channel. Looking forward to next week's stream. Thank you for the feedback. Let's hope Matt Gay has a better camp next week. Oh my God.
He made all of his kicks today.
Did he make them today?
Yeah,
I know he missed
today.
like half of them the other day.
He made them all today.
But so did Fry. So you know what?
Elliot,
we have a curse, guys. We have a curse. That's all there is to it.
Curse is real.
Go for
the
two.
Curse is real. Go for two every time. Hashtag go for two. All right,
Go
guys. For all of us here at Set the Sails, thank you all so much for watching tonight. And as always, as we didn't do last week, but we try to do every show, let's go.
Fire the cannons.
No, not fire the cannons.
Oh,
gosh.
This is worse than Bad Boys with like
Bad boys. What you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you? Smith.
All right, good night, everybody.
You gotta do it right now.
Thanks for listening to Set the Sails. Listen to us on Apple Podcast, a Bucks Life Media production in association with FanStreamSports.com. See you next Monday on Set the Sails.